Right, it's time for the papers. Now let's get to all the interesting headlines that will get your attention this wonderful Friday. And we have joining us in the studio a journalist and a public commentator as well, Chris Kende Wandu. Chris, good morning.
It's good to be here once again.
Nice to see you.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Nice to be
So
here.
we start with the punch. The major story. There is a plan to attack Taraba in 10 days. That's according to the governor. Says states buried 63 victims in one day.
Yes, the governor, Governor Shaku, came out a few days back to say that information reaching him has it that there's an imminent attack on the state, and he has called out to security agencies, especially the military, to come to their rescue and prevent such. But last night, yesterday, the military authorities said that, well, there's nothing we can do about it. Yes, that is the responsibility of the Nigerian police. If you want us to come in, write to the commander-in-chief, who is the president. Once he gives the order, troops will be deployed. But without that, there's nothing we can do. So, presently as it stands, they are at the mercy of the police, which I know that is not fully equipped for what has been happening, because we've seen it happen in Plateau, we've seen it happen in Benue, we've seen it happen in Nasarawa as well. So, but this is a calamity foretold, so if anything happens, the security agencies will be blamed.
But as far as the books are concerned, if you want to follow objectively, actually there's nothing the military can do.
Yes, yeah, exactly. No, they are right.
In that
The military,
regard.
absolutely.
But with the reality of things, it seems the police is very overwhelmed by all of this development. And this is what makes the call louder for state police.
Yes, well, I think state police is part of the recommendation of the APC Restructuring Committee. I don't know how that will be materialized before the end of this regime 2019. But since this is an urgent call, I think the authorities should be able to look into that. The police, for one, is overwhelmed, just as you mentioned. All over the place. It's just from one trouble spot to another. And what's the size of the police? I think it's about 330,000 or something. Or just about 330,000 to a country of over 180 million people. So that is, yes, more than that, counting, and it's going to be very difficult.
Okay, so we'll go to another story. Court affirms Senate's power to reject Magu.
What?
Yeah. The senators are pathetic right now. They are vindicated.
Oh, yesterday was like, yeah, we said it, you know that. And yeah, without even the court saying that, I think the law gives the Senate and the House of Representatives the power to confirm. Even if there's anything within the EFCC code or wherever that states, but slightly says, but it has been affirmed that the Senate, especially the Senate, have the right to confirm certain categories of public officers, and the office of the chairman of EFCC is just one of them. But I don't know whether this is not more of a personal thing than the ability of the man to perform.
But remember the vice president said that they shouldn't even have sent the EFCC chairman's name to the Senate in the first place for approval.
Well, that's
he's a professor of law.
He's a professor of law, but
senior advocate.
But even at that, if you also look at it, the previous ones, all of them have been sent. Not only that, I think the man has a certain number of days to act. As a chairman, I'm not a lawyer, but I also know that within the categories of officers to be sent to the EFCC chairman position has been there. So, but the vice president is a senior advocate of Nigeria, but it's a court that says, not the vice president.
Absolutely.
And the court have said so.
Okay. So we'll move to another story now. Buhari ignored federal character in security chiefs' appointments. That's according to former President Obasanjo, when he registered as a member of the Third Force, the CNN, Coalition of Nigeria Movement.
It's the continuation of the PhD holder letter, which we are used to. So it's just a continuation of what he has said, and it's going to, if there's anything that one will accuse the current president of, and with all due respect, it's nepotism. Everybody has been saying that. You don't continue doing what you're going the way you are going, irrespective of how you feel and the rest of them. That is what the Constitution rightly said, that all the offices should be spread across board. And if a particular section of the country seems to be favored in appointment, especially when it comes to the areas with the state and a particular state, Katsina, then everybody has the right to. Nigeria belongs to everybody, and not just the president. It's the president of Nigeria, not the president of Katsina State.
Yeah. All right, a quick run of some interesting stories. Restructuring. Jonathan urges FG to implement APC panel's report. Suspended SEC DG Gwazo allegedly paid workers 1.7 billion naira without approval. Lekki toll increase, residents kick, groan in gridlock. It was terrible yesterday because...
Yeah, are you telling me? I was at the... Yes, I was there. And it took me over 45 minutes to just cross from Oriental to the toll gate. And when I finished from there, when I finished what I was doing at Lekki, and I said, let me go through the back. You know, the back this thing. And it's even worse. I didn't even know that one has been increased too. Because it has always been for cars, it has always been 250. Only for me to get an issue my... I said, no, guys, 300. Just, yes. You know, that kind of a thing. So there's need to do, and you know the most annoying thing, there are so many other routes into the thing that were closed. I don't know why they are closing them. You just see the mark. And X-red marks, and there are about 3, 4, 5.
I guess they have technical issues.
I don't know if they have technical issues.
They have the personnel to mount that area.
Then they should open it up. They're wasting people's time. People are ready to pay, but allow them to go through the process and just pass through it.
It's quite harrowing.
Yes.
Let's go through the Nation newspaper now. Buhari to youths. Watch character of aspirants. Obasanjo steps up attack on government, and group says ex-president stole our idea. When he made this statement yesterday, one young person said, well, the president, you said we should watch the character of aspirants. We are also watching the performance of leaders.
Yes, and that is exactly rightly put, because for you to have good followership, you must show some level of leadership on your part. Okay, so if the leadership is not giving the right direction, there's the need for those following. And my thinking has always been that, although some people argue with me, my thinking that is that the problem of Nigeria is not actually that of leadership. I think it's that of followership. Because you know why? If we do what we're supposed to do, most of them won't be there. Okay, so if you have somebody that is not performing, it is within us. We have the power.
And you collect the people have collectively and sell your votes.
So you have to do that through your vote. But how many of us, every time we have just 30% turnout out of 100 voters turnout.
Youths are very active on the social media on election day.
Exactly.
You know, that's just it.
I'm playing
football.
Go and
play football. Exactly.
All right, we have one here. Telephone subscribers fear tariff hike as NCC reviews interconnect rates.
I think NCC should be more concerned with the problem we're having with connectivity. Now, drop calls is just so terrible. You send SMS, it doesn't land into about 20, 30 minutes.
Yes, even after all the companies.
Yes, so I think what they should be more concerned, it should be going down, because when it comes to economics, even ordinary printing, they'll tell you, you want to go and print a card, they say, oh, if you print more, you cheaper. So that was, and adding, I think we have close to about over 100 million people using mobile phones, and it's even more than that. And it's increasing. Practically every one of us at least have 2 SIMs, not just one.
Not because Nigerians want to have 2 phones
because
or anything,
the networks are not just...
Exactly.
That is just
because
so
at the corner of your mind somewhere, you know that this is not adequate.
Yes.
Network can fall anytime. So let me fall
back
to something
in case this one doesn't get it through, let me just go through
and
this.
Sadly, there are even sometimes that both networks or even multiple networks.
Exactly. You know the most annoying part, you have 2 phones and you'll be calling and you even call your own number and you say your number is switched off. So there should be more concern with the issue of connectivity.
Okay. INEC to get 26.5 million euros grant for 2019 polls. That's extra money coming in. Remember, the INEC reached out to the UN to help in training some of their staff recently, and that's a good development.
Yes, it is. And I know that about 2-3 days ago, the chairman of INEC was at NCC2 to build up some level of collaboration and partnership
for the
electronic use of for voting and
display of results.
Exactly. So I think it's the right.
So
way to
we're looking forward to an improved election process and voting process in the 2019 election.
We should.
Which should be an additional improvement on the 2015
we should. And
election.
What has made it even much easier for them is that we now have staggered elections. There are some states that won't have governorship elections and the rest of them. So that makes it much easier, unlike before. Where you have 36, you have to go through everybody and everything. So now it's staggered. So there are some states that have already already had their.
We have
Anambra just
Osun,
had.
we have,
Anambra just had
yeah.
one some time
Ekiti.
ago. Ekiti is going to have one, and rest of them. So the in terms of volume of it will not weigh down so much on them. But they should try to get it
And
out.
even be acting as litmus tests is going to be a good ground to test what the new improvements they have or new innovations they have,
that is
and
it.
see how they work so they
That
can
is it.
improve on them for the elections.
Yes, they should. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So we go to the Daily Sun. Major story: Herdsmen's killings. IGP declares war on militias, vigilantes. Orders total clampdown. Insists Benue killing result of communal clashes. Umahi heads committee to talk with Miyetti Allah.
Well, that's a tough call.
Yeah.
If you say you are clamping down on militia, well, it depends on your definition of militia men, because first and foremost, you have to. We were told by the DSS that most of these people were ISIS. I hope you remember that DSS came up there and said that no, they are not. These are ISIS members and they are foreigners. So, if the people now are defending themselves against foreigners, quote and unquote, why would you want? You say they shouldn't defend themselves?
And you're clamping down on vigilantes.
Yes, that is those vigilantes are supposed to be people. I think what they should do is what the military did at one time during the Boko Haram. Where you had the civilian JTF. Exactly. The police should call them and find a way of integrating them within their system, because the police, as we say, cannot be in every part of this. So those should be their foot soldiers. Okay, those are the people you should be using. Those are the people you should be using for your investigation and rest of.
So that's why some Nigerians, some Nigerians have even suggested, instead of creating state police, why not create a community police?
That is exactly
more closer to the grassroots.
Is state police in another, but as I said, climbing down on them you can get them. You can even get them registered. Okay, just like the civil defense, what they do with the security agencies, like get them registered and make sure they get them coordinated. Make sure that they have a line of communication, proper structure between them and the DPO in the various local governments. If there's anything, those are the first people to call. Say, sir, this is what is happening. They say, okay, please stay here, stay here. So that is why it is done. Even in the United States, you have state police, you have even the local councils still have their police, policemen and rest of them. Yes.
But like in Lagos, we have the neighborhood watch right now, which is part of things like that. Exactly. They are the ones in the streets, in the nooks and crannies of the state, and so they report whatever they find to the security agencies, and then they act.
It's much easier for the police to manage if they can call them to get them and get them registered, or whichever way, just have a kind of collaboration with them. If you say, okay, this time, and some of them go into the bush, how are we going to collect the guns from them? To drive them away, just like what happened in the Niger Delta. Okay, so there should be a more proactive way of doing this, rather than just trying to say, and the police go there. Then the police will now, instead of going after the killers, we are now going after the guys that are supposed to be defending themselves. Okay. I don't think that is the right way to go. All
right, Nigeria under Buhari is failed state. That's according to Nwabweze. That the government has not really tried that. If he's that if he's re-elected, in fact, in 2019, that the country could become extinct.
Yeah, my thinking is, which is why, really. Personally, I feel that the coming of the third force, or whatever you call it, is a wake-up call for the government of APC. Initially, people have felt, oh, PDP is not just the right place, and they are not going to get it right. It's not, but when you now have a third force comprising people from PDP, people from APC, and other independent-minded people, and brand new forces are coming up and joining. As I was saying on the program yesterday, what you are saying is Obasanjo. There are some people behind that. But Obasanjo is just the face. But the foot soldiers, most of them you don't know, not the Donald Duke and the rest of them you are seeing. There are some people that read this grassroots, especially within the APC. So many of them, top planners, that felt that, oh, we've done so much for this party and the rest of them, we got this man to power and we'll not be able to get anything. So those are the foot soldiers. So I think that it should be a wake-up call for the APC. Prof saying it, he's just saying the obvious. And I think that the government should be able to rise up to the occasion. All right,
lastly, Ekweme, good night. Anambra standstill for ex-VP following commendation service. He was deputy, I trusted Shagari, SGF, ministers, governors to attend burial at Oko today.
He was exceptional.
Most people,
some people don't even know much about the man. This is a man that had degrees, first-class degrees from various disciplines. I think he's read architecture, he read law, he read so many, it was from various disciplines. And if you know, in 1999, Ekweme was to be the presidential candidate of the PDP because he was the first chairman. Something just, the military just agreed, no, let's just have someone of our own.
I remember that convention.
You remember that convention very well.
The convention in
yes,
Jos.
yes. So, and then one thing I also like about him, all through, after leaving office, he has been a statesman. You don't see him making utterances. You don't see him saying things just for this.
He gave
so much back to the community alone, not only the community, even the country.
And when we talk about the 6 geopolitical zones, he was the brain behind the 6 geopolitical zones we have right now.
He is well spread, well respected across board, and his demise is a big loss to the country.
It's really a sad one.
Yes,
all right, let's move to the Vanguard newspaper now. Taraba will be attacked in 10 days. Governor cries out. We've talked about that. And then Obasanjo launches CNM, dissociate itself from other movements. We've talked about that. Sack Magu now. Senate tells Buhari as court backs senator's action. That we've talked about. And a new issue here. Nigeria, Niger plan joint refinery to sign agreement soon. It's becoming obvious that refineries owned by Nigeria cannot work in Nigeria anymore.
I don't know the beautiful, why Niger is becoming the beautiful.
I was about to say that. A lot is happening with Niger.
Yes, we are running
the
pipeline,
railway, a lot of things going to Niger.
So, I don't know, maybe there's something that this government is seeing that I haven't seen because in terms of economy, we are far better than Niger in our standards and the rest of them. So I wouldn't know. Maybe the government will come out, but I don't know this craze for us to have everything in Niger. We have oil, we have, the last time we said we are building a rail going to Niger. I don't know how many people go to Niger from foreign land. When we say have, within the country, we've not had enough, we've not even been able to connect ourselves.
For what purpose?
If we have a good rail system, if we have a very good system, all those tankers you see parked on top of the bridges across, they won't be doing that. We'll be, you know. So, and the rail system is the best form of system. If you travel abroad, if you go to the UK, most people don't own cars. Even the so-called rich, you see everybody just take a good.
I saw a picture just yesterday because of the Chinese holiday and hundreds of light trains were ready to move out at the same time. To commute millions of Chinese to their destinations.
That is new. That's where we should be going because we are putting so much pressure on our roads, and that's why we're having so many accidents here and there every day. So if we'll be able to look at the rail system and be able to perfect it, in fact, the greatest problem, the service we did ourselves was not allowing the Lagos Metro Line project to kick off.
Exactly.
You know, if we have allowed that project initiated by Alhaji Lateef Jakonde to kick off, by now I don't think we'll be talking of all these things what we're saying now. So I still say I don't know what the government have seen in Niger. Maybe they will need to tell us, but refinery in Niger, railway line in Niger, the next line now would be fertilizer in Niger.
Some pipelines before.
All right. And then we have Nigerian prisons convert humans to animals. It's the Vice President, Yemi Osinbajo, is saying that, referring to the state of the prisons.
I should be, I should be in a position to say to talk about that. I was locked up for about 23 days. I was in the Ikoyi prison for 23 days over my job.
Just because
I wrote something, and just because I wrote something, because I published something. And I'll tell you, the state of the Nigerian prison is terrible. It's so terrible. When I read some time ago and they said they vote 15,000 naira daily to feed prisoners, I was, wow. I don't think those guys, excuse me, I don't think those guys have fed more than 200 naira worth of food every day.
We even hear some of the prisoners are responsible for their own feeding.
Yes, congestion. Like when I was there, I was responsible for my own feeding because I couldn't eat what was being served. And apart from that, you will see a place that's made for about 500 or 300 people, and over 1,000 and this. So the facilities are overstretched.
Diseases. They hardly have their
and the rest of them. So, and I was told, in fact, I was told that Ikoyi prison was more like a VIP prison. If you go
Compared
to
to
yes,
what?
compared to what you have in other states. So I think there should be total reform. And then not only that, I also realized why there that over 75% to 80% of the inmates are awaiting trial. We shouldn't be, and that is the problem. Our judicial system needs to be reformed. Most of the guys, somebody just pick somebody for wandering, and you just take him to court, and his relations are not aware, and you just send him to
and
the
many
place.
have been on death row for years.
Those ones are is a different ball game. There are some people that have been there that for over 2 years, their case has not been taken to court. Just for minute and very, very minute. So
And the prison is supposed to be a correctional facility.
That's what it's supposed to be. But you now realize that those being taken there even get more criminalized.
Hardened.
Yes, hardened. Because of their interaction with that's why you see them, when some of them come out, instead of repenting and the same thing, you see,
they've seen the
it
end
all.
of life. They've
and
seen
they don't
all.
even
They've seen
care.
all already.
They don't
Okay,
care.
so you're
That's
through
all
that. So we'll go
They don't
to this day newspaper. Court upholds Senate's power of confirmation. Legislature hails judgment, urges Buhari to substitute Magu. We already talked about that. President sends Edward Adamu's name for Senate confirmation as CBN Deputy Governor. Can we say that we already know where this would head? Senate would say no until you remove Magu.
Well, I think the Senate and the President should just get their house together and get this resolved. If they have issue within themselves, they shouldn't hold Nigerians to ransom. We elected them.
We remember the MPC committee.
Exactly.
The nominations
are
still pending.
So there are so many pending confirmations, and I think that they should just bury their hatchets and for the benefits of Nigerians and get this solved. We cannot continue digging and digging and digging and digging, and the end of it. Look at the parastatals. Most of the parastatals don't have boards. So many of the parastatals, they don't have boards. Okay, and I think some of them has been inaugurated, but I don't know whether they've been confirmed and the rest of them. So it's apart from the government is slowly that's in US. That is what we call a government shutdown.
Government shutdown, exactly. Of course.
This is our own government shutdown.
Nigeria. Even though it's not necessarily concerning the budget, but
yes.
It's government shutdown.
That's government shutdown.
It's a technical way of shutting down.
Exactly.
Slowing down the economy.
Yes.
All right, another story. We already talked about it, but Nigeria and Niger signed pact to build refinery in Katsina in 60 days. I'm sure many would wonder if Katsina is an oil-bearing state.
Wow.
Okay, yeah.
In Katsina. Okay, please.
Akwa Ibom leaders
Kaduna refinery is not working.
Exactly. And
Okay.
they want to build one in 60 days.
Okay.
All right. Akwa Ibom leaders won against reintroduction of onshore-offshore dichotomy. How is that going to help?
Well, I don't know their reasons. I've not read the info, but I think that this is a debate that has been on for years, and the Niger Delta or the South-South geopolitical zone have been talking about this for long, and the rest of them. But presently, Akwa Ibom shouldn't be. They shouldn't be. They should be. I don't know. Akwa Ibom is not doing badly when it comes to what they receive from Abuja. I think they should be. I think that
number one.
Number one.
They've been number
If
one
you
for a
understand,
time.
like, you understand what I'm saying. So, if some states are
Yes.
complaining that I don't think I can't. Akwa Ibom shouldn't
But
be the one
I
complaining.
think it's all about principles,
Yeah, I
because
know.
the issue of onshore-offshore dichotomy has been resolved and rested.
Indeed.
So bringing it back is like bringing back the controversy that led to it in the first place.
Because it's on the backdrop of the report of the APC led by National President.
Yeah.
So that is why it's
Resource
called-
control.
Resource control, that's it.
So that's why
Exactly.
they're saying that you shouldn't even let that happen.
I think we
let
should give
sleeping
the
dog
I think we should
lie.
give the committee the opportunity to bring that. And
Defense.
don't forget that whatever even they agree on, it still has to be taken to the National Assembly.
Exactly.
It's the National Assembly that has the final say, because the APC doesn't have the right to amend the Constitution. It has to be taken to the National Assembly and also taken to the 26 state houses of assembly. For
36.
concurrent. Yes, 36. The 36. All must be in agreement before you can remove.
But we have
the
some recommendations with the 36 states currently.
Yes.
And then this is an addition. as the case may be. But the point there is, everyone is asking, we just have about a year to the elections. So how feasible is it to bring up brand new recommendations of this kind? When you're talking about independent candidacy, you're talking about scrapping local government as a third tier of government, and so on.
Funny enough, most of the recommendations were a part of the recommendation of the Constitutional Conference that was initiated by the last government.
Exactly.
Most of the things that I've seen what I've read so far, I've not read all the reports. So it's like just going over and over again, which is why I have always been an advocate that they should look at the recommendation of that constituency, that conference, and there are areas, although the APC refused to participate, they said that no, we are not going to be part of that, and rest of
we understand.
So we can understand where the politics attacked that time. So, but they shouldn't throw away the baby with bathwater. Yes, they shouldn't. They should have a look at it.
Okay, with that, so we wrap the newspaper review. Thank you very much for your analysis at this time.
Thank you, Chris. But we'll be keeping you for the next discussion now.
Thank you very much.
All right. When we come back, we'll be talking about the cattle colonies. The controversy is still on, and so many Nigerians are still saying no to cattle colonies. But we'll talk about all of these when we come back. Stay with us now.